If you've ever felt like manifesting your desires was harder than it should be, like no matter how much you visualize or set intentions, something keeps you stuck, then this might be the most important idea you encounter. Because the truth is, it's not that you lack discipline or clarity. It's not that the universe is testing you or that you've fallen out of alignment. It's because most of what we've been taught about creating change relies on force. We try to force our minds to think positively. We try to force our bodies to stay motivated. We try to force reality to bend to our timeline. But in the realm of quantum physics and consciousness, force is rarely the catalyst for transformation. Instead, there's a phenomenon that explains why so many people feel exhausted chasing results that never seem to materialize. It's called frequency interference. When your internal state is filled with effort, tension, and the anxiety of wanting something to happen, you introduce noise into your signal. From the perspective of the quantum field, your energy becomes inconsistent. One part of you is broadcasting desire, but another part is broadcasting fear that it won't arrive. And the field responds to the totality of your signal, not just your stated intention. This is why people often feel like they're taking one step forward and two steps back. But there's a way through this. It's what I call the quantum frequency shift, a fundamental change in your internal state that reorganizes your entire relationship with reality. This isn't about thinking harder, working more, or performing elaborate rituals. It's about creating a coherent frequency inside your own field that resonates with what you want to experience. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop forcing reality to comply with your will, the energy you've been scattering consolidates. Your nervous system calms. Your awareness expands. You move from a contracted signal to a harmonious one. And in that state, the field reflects your intention more clearly. If this sounds abstract, let's ground it in science. Every thought you have produces an electromagnetic signature. Every emotional state generates measurable patterns in your heart and brain. When you're stressed, your heart rhythm becomes jagged. Your breath constricts. Your brain waves fragment into disordered frequencies. Scientists call this incoherence, and it creates what they describe as biological noise. Imagine trying to tune an old radio to a clear station while static blares in the background. No matter how beautiful the music is, you can't hear it because the signal isn't clean. This is why many people spend years repeating affirmations or visualizations without much change. They're layering positive thoughts over a body that's still in survival mode. They're projecting desire while embodying resistance. And so the field receives the vibration of lack rather than the words of abundance. The quantum frequency shift isn't about forcing yourself into a perfect state. It's about aligning your physiology and awareness so your energy stabilizes into a clear, singular signal. And the good news is, your nervous system knows how to do this naturally when you give it the right conditions: slower breathing, authentic intention, and a willingness to let go of urgency. Consider this. Every outcome in your life has been shaped not by the frequency you occasionally visit when you feel inspired, but by the one you return to consistently when no one is watching. That baseline frequency isn't a judgment of your worth. It's simply the composite of your thoughts, emotions, and biological state. And no amount of forcing can override a chronically incoherent signal. But the moment you experience coherence, when your breath, heart, and mind synchronize, you feel it immediately. A softening, an openness, a quiet sense that you don't need to chase anything. Ironically, it's often in this state of non-attachment that reality begins to respond in ways you once thought required effort. So how does this work? In the field of neurocardiology, researchers have discovered that your heart produces the strongest electromagnetic field in your body, far more powerful than your brain. This field extends several feet beyond your body and is measurable with modern instruments. When you're stressed, your heart rhythm becomes erratic. This is incoherence. And when the heart is incoherent, the brain follows suit. Your breath shortens, stress hormones surge, your perception narrows to threats. This is an ancient survival mechanism, but in modern life, it becomes a chronic baseline, broadcasting stress into the quantum field. Now contrast this with coherence. When you slow your breathing and focus on feelings of appreciation or calm, your heart rhythm becomes smooth, almost like a sine wave. Scientists call this heart-brain coherence. Stress hormones like cortisol decrease. Regenerative hormones like DHEA increase. Brain waves synchronize with the heart rhythm. The immune system strengthens. Perception expands. From a quantum perspective, coherence creates a stable frequency that interacts with the field in ways incoherence never can. Think of it like tuning forks. When one tuning fork vibrates, another nearby begins to resonate at the same frequency. This is called entrainment. Your coherent field works the same way. When you maintain coherence, you entrain your environment and the probabilities within the field to match your signal. This is why synchronicities appear, why solutions seem to arrive out of nowhere, why life feels like it's flowing instead of resisting you. Ancient traditions knew this long before science could measure it. Yogic texts described samadhi, a state of unity and deep presence. Mystics called it surrender. Taoist philosophy named it wu-wei, effortless action. Different words, but the essence is the same. When you release resistance and align your inner state, reality reorganizes itself in response. But let's be clear. Coherence doesn't mean you never feel fear or doubt. It means you don't live there. You learn to witness fluctuations without collapsing into them. You return to calm more easily because your nervous system recognizes it as home. The quantum frequency shift isn't about forcing bliss all the time. It's about cultivating conditions, slower breath, relaxed awareness, authentic intention, that allow coherence to arise naturally. And when it does, you discover something profound. Effort is often a symptom of misalignment. The harder you push, the more you signal separation from what you want. The more you attune, the more naturally life reflects your inner state. So let's get practical. How do you experience this shift? You don't need special rituals. You don't need perfection. All you need is willingness. Sit somewhere comfortable. Close your eyes. Take a slow inhale through your nose, letting your belly expand. Exhale softly through your mouth, allowing your shoulders to drop. Repeat until your breath naturally slows. This is physiological priming. It signals safety to your nervous system and begins shifting your heart rhythm toward coherence. Next, bring your attention to your heart. Place a hand over your chest if it helps. Imagine each inhale drawing energy into your heart, each exhale radiating that energy through your body. Then gently introduce a feeling of appreciation. It doesn't have to be overwhelming, just something simple and real. Gratitude for your breath, for this moment, for anything authentic. Hold this for a minute or two. If your mind wanders, notice it kindly and return to your breath. Then ask yourself one question. What would it feel like if this was already resolved? Don't analyze. Don't look for words. Let your body respond. Maybe a softening in your chest, a quiet spaciousness, or just a sense of relief. This embodied shift is coherence. Think of it like tuning an instrument. You're not forcing the strings into harmony. You're adjusting until resonance occurs. Sometimes it's immediate. Sometimes it builds slowly. Either way, your only job is to stay curious and allow it. And when you do this consistently, something remarkable happens. Life itself feels different. Challenges don't vanish, but your experience of them changes. Urgency dissolves. You respond instead of reacting. You find clarity where there was confusion. Synchronicities increase. Relationships recalibrate. Your body feels lighter. And most importantly, a quiet sense of trust emerges. You stop needing proof before you believe. You realize your alignment is the proof. Now, this doesn't mean you'll never slip. Old patterns will resurface. You'll have days when you feel reactive or doubtful. That's normal. But every time you notice and return to coherence, you strengthen the new baseline. Like training a muscle, repetition builds capacity. Success isn't measured by how perfectly you manifest a desire today. It's measured by how often you return to coherence. Because when coherence becomes your priority, external change becomes inevitable. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped scattering your signal. So if you're feeling even a subtle resonance as you hear this, maybe a quiet sense that something in you is reorganizing, I want to invite you to anchor it right now. In the comments, write the words, "I am shifting." Those 3 words are more than a statement. They're a declaration to your nervous system, your subconscious, and the quantum field that you are choosing alignment. This is where real transformation begins. Not in grand gestures, not in chasing techniques, but in moments when you choose to return to coherence. And if you found value in this, consider subscribing and joining this community. This isn't about collecting more methods. It's about practicing coherence together, where science and spirituality meet, where you're supported breath by breath. Because at the end of the day, the field doesn't respond to what you try to prove. It responds to who you are. And who you are, at your most coherent, is already enough.